inside I burn. For my blood I mourn, cause I know they hit me too. Shaka, shaka, tell them when they lash my brother. Tell them that they hitting all away. Shaka, shaka, when they make we children suffer. Tell them they'll answer to all away. For we are family, one blood, one soul, to see our people free, one task, one goal. Shaka, shaka, tell them if they touch Mandela. Tell them, they better hit all away. I have seen the white man bleed, marching against apartheid, while Canadian youths protest. Free Mandela on the chest. Now my people, let's all join the struggle. Show your solidarity. From the US to Caribbean people, Africans must know apartheid must go, or we never will be free. Shaka, shaka, tell them if they lash we brother. Tell them that they hitting all away. Shaka, shaka, when they make we children suffer. Tell them they'll answer to all away. For we are family, one blood, one soul, to see our people free, one task, one goal. Shaka, shaka, tell them if they touch Mandela. Tell them, they better hit all away. Ulaba uchaba mande. Ulaba uchaba mande. Ulaba uchaba mande. Shaka, let your spirit flow through the veins of Soweto. Let your unifying hand cradle every Bantu man. Tell Tacha and Bota, stop the fooling. Tell them judgment day is near. Tell them they can't stop the tables turning. Let them know it's real. They will have to feel if they do not want to hear.
Yes, indeed. A pleasant good morning to all and sundry. Yes, it is, of course, the Sunday edition of the corridor transformation. Of course, your dual, your double, whatever you want to call it, your duo host, of course, Dr. Khalid Rahman, and of course, myself, yours truly, Lennox Smith. Of course, we have a normally bumper program for you this morning. And of course, we look at the way forward today. And of course, what are the impediments? What are some of the perspectives that we must, of course, address? And some of the burning issues that must come to the fore if we are to, in any way, extricate ourselves from the current quagmire, the current debilitating circumstances of poor government, poor governance, and the unrelenting but real and unacceptable levels of crime, criminality, social decadence, and all of the other issues that we have concerned ourselves and must concern ourselves with, having regard to the problems associated with Trinidad and Tobago today, and of course to make certain that we extricate ourselves from this unrelenting but nonetheless real circumstance of Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, we normally would address our minds to the past week and what has transpired. Well, of course, Dr. Rowley has gone off to, is it Saudi Arabia? Yes, it is. And we understand that he may well, of course, be extending his trip to Dubai. We understand that, and some say it might have been because he would have been putting in a presence of having regard to the curse that appears that Trinidad and Tobago is reeling under. But they said that, of course, Dubai is now underwater, and maybe they're associating that situation there with, of course, the presence or the impending visit of Dr. Rowley. But of course, superstition notwithstanding, we have a real situation in Trinidad and Tobago where, of course, the question of murders continue to plague the country. 2 young people below the age of 18, 2 bodies going to what may be considered to be a very innocuous and routine parlor to buy something to maybe munch upon, and found their deaths. And then we have another double in St. Paul Street, drive-by on this occasion. And then, of course, we have the Commissioner of Police indicating that his parents, and then suddenly after that, well, before that, we had religious appeal, an appeal to the religious fraternity, and then after that, of course, we heard a scathing attack on the parents, and now she is saying that, of course, those criminal elements can't hide; they will hunt you down, etc., using bellicose language that, at the end of the day, it seemed to be really irrelevant. It seemed to be water on duck back, so to speak, as we continue, of course, to reel from what I consider the inability of the security forces to make the population feel safe. And that is the bottom line. Of course, my own specific concern, because that really infringed on Dr. Khalid's area, but I thought as matters that have been engaging the national community, we need, of course, to both of us, at least on this occasion, to, of course, express our total concern, our total disquiet, our psychological and emotional concerned with respect, of course, to this developing situation, and whether or not there's any respite having regard to, of course, statements being made by the Minister of Finance and now, of course, acting Prime Minister, trying to clear the air about property tax, a tax that he himself was hesitant in 2015 to even mention. But we know now, we can put the pieces together and know now, since Dr. Rowley had told us that they will not interfere with it, so we can put both of them together. He hesitant, saying that is something you have to look at, and then Dr. Rowley saying blatantly that they will not interfere with property tax or will not pursue. Anybody saying that they are pursuing that are blatant liars, and now we know now who are the blatant liars. I think I have said enough. Let me just, of course, introduce Dr. Khalid one time. Dr. Khalid, as usual, how has been your weekend so far? And, of course, you can dive into the areas that you wish to for.
Well,
come a little closer. Yeah.
Well, Lennox, praise God. Praise God, praise God, praise God. It's been all right. The week was been all right. Troubles is the same, thinking about the crime, the young people, and stuff like that, and what community programs you can come up with. Well, yesterday, as usual, we had was there whole day with the car park we have there on Saturdays for the church on the hill.
Okay.
But in addition to that, another 7-day branch had requested to use the center.
Right.
So they used it yesterday, they're going to use it today, and things like that. So we are there planning, and but you know, every day it is strengthening my position on what we're doing is correct.
Yes.
We have to do something to save these young people. And you see, I heard you mentioning the crime, and we have to mention it every second.
Yes.
But the authority that be, whoever is the authority that be, now is the PNM, but when other people get in there, we have to come up with programs.
That's right.
You have to come up with programs to save these young people, because I don't think they put in their finger on the pulse of the situation we are facing. We have a lot of breaking up homes, right? That's why you have a lot of rebellion among the young people.
Yes.
A lot of them very rebellious. And you have situations where some fathers alone is the mother and father in the house. Some mothers alone. Right now I have a situation, my good friend, wife, for some reason she pull out and she gone. She didn't even consider, she leave the two later on there. Yes, I mean, you know, a lot of men, most men, he probably was wild with here and there. But that's not the way to solve it.
Yeah.
You run out and you leave the man with the children. One child is now turning 2. And the next one was 5 going on 6. 2 boys. He going out, he hustling, selling, because he's selling, he had to hustle.
Right.
Them
To survive, to eat. Yes, put food on the table.
By the 2 things can happen. Some wicked person could call the police and say, well, he abandoned them trying.
Yes. And therefore find himself losing out
Everything.
all the time. Including, of course, the woman, if she has any modicum of concern for the children.
Well, she not even think about that. She quite okay, happy in herself.
All right. Okay.
And so now, what happening is that, these are the 2 of the young men that they, well, one is like right now about 8 going on 9, and the other one is will be 6. The Caribbean my planet.
Right.
So January will be 6.
Right, okay.
And you have other children like that, and it is surrounding.
Yeah.
You have to do things with the children. You have to start from small to train them children. You know, it's easy for people to say, look at this group and look at that group, and we ain't doing this. But the program had to come from the top. You have to remember, in order for them to do what they did to us as a people, it came from the top. So in order to change that rehabilitation have to come from the top. You have to have government programs, you have to have council, everybody got to be involved, the police, the fire, the this, the that, community workers. That other than that, you ain't making no sense.
But how would you respond to the argument that those who let's say are advocates for the present administration, when they talk about there is MILAP, MITAP, YTEP, of course, the Citizen Conservation Corps, you have, of course, even though it has been watered down, but you have, of course, things like HYPE, and you have as well the scholarship program. Now they have converted it to bursaries and all of those programs. And of course, the Ministry of Youth is boasting of an agricultural initiative, and they're talking about a homestead project where young people who are interested in farming and so on will get $20,000 and of course a piece of land, but of course very limited, because I think it's only about out of 200 and just about 40 might be the beneficiary of that. And then of course only recently you had what I think about 60 persons getting start a house a grant for persons who wanted, of course, they have the land and so on, but they couldn't start the house. And they, I think Leonce was at the center of the photo op that was taken recently, and all of these programs, and of course the Minister of Finance announcing some other initiative, bringing back the laptops, bringing back, of course, books for school, $1,000 book grant, and we can go on and on. Why? Because the argument will be that these things are in place, and what is happening in the society as reality, crime, criminality, loss of life, through heinous means, robbery, home invasion, etc. How does one rationalize? How does one reconcile both, should I say, sides of the coin, and of course, and whether blame should be given to the government as opposed to maybe to other elements, as of course the Commissioner of Police has said recently with respect to parents, and of course prior to that she talked about, of course, church and school. I would put church with school, and then of course the Prime Minister, of course, talking about the same thing, but of course prior to that he said that of course they have failed. So I mean, it's a lot of true, but I know you would apply your sagacious intellect to this matter.
Right. Well, okay. Yeah. I want to start by being fair to everybody.
Okay.
Government included, right?
Right.
Everybody. But here I'll give you an example. Remember, many times I tell you, Lennox, we have a lot of things doing, right?
Yes.
But a lot of people don't know.
Right.
Right? So I'll start there.
Okay.
They have things doing. They don't have the proper linkage. They probably have linkage, but I will put in the word proper linkage in the communities.
Right.
In all the communities, especially those communities that is plagued by this murders.
Yeah.
Right? One. Then two, you have to have educational programs that would go along with it.
Okay.
So, yes, you have your program, but who know? You could get up there and say, and you could go in Parliament and say and read all this, because I can remember when my boy was in the Senate there, and he tell them, he say, I just heard you read out so and so and so and so and so. But together with those things, it had to have other programs. And that is it. So yes, you could say that, and they could get frustrated when people criticize them, because a lot of people don't like to be criticized. So that's where I will start. Yes, you have your programs, who knows? The laptop was a program that they stopped.
Yes.
That Kamala had. Yes. They castigator free, they say all kind of thing. Now they're bringing it back, but they're bringing it back in a smaller way.
Yeah.
You know?
But in spite of all of that, can I interpret what you are
Yes.
saying as well?
Yes, sure.
In the context of implementation deficit,
Yes.
in spite of the emasculation of the very programs that may by itself be insufficient to address the challenges that are the realities of Trinidad and Tobago today. And even if, or should I say, even though they may be limited, they may be shortchanged,
Right.
that shortchange component, because of the implementation deficit, has created, of course, an escalation of the problems, and it has now become ubiquitous.
Correct as right. Everything is you have said there is exactly the point.
Yeah.
And so in addition, they can talk and say what they have been doing, what they intend to do, but it's not really reaching the ground. It's not touching their lives.
Yeah.
Because, listen man, just yesterday, I sat down while I was in the center. And it's have this young man, sometimes more than them, more than one.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact he's not from around our area, but I know he came from somewhere in the Laventil Mova area.
Right.
You know where he sleeps? Below the walk over there.
Before the walk,
Below the walk over.
Yeah, I know yesterday we were going to Shaguanas, and we were looking at the various, should I say, not walkover, but flyovers.
Yes.
Over the highway, and we saw some very cozy pieces of box and so on, as
Right.
if as people are actually living
But
there.
that's their home.
That's the home. Before we go further, of course, let me say once again, of course, for the late bloomers or the late arrivals or the late tuners into, of course, welcome to the Corridor Transformation, the Sunday edition. Dr. Khaled and myself, of course, this program is dedicated to solution or orientation one. But as usual, along the east-west corridor, where the highest concentration of population exists, but more significantly, the highest number of Africans, because these are considered by and large African communities along the east-west corridor. And therefore, at the same time, we know that there is a political preference that we are attempting as well to open up the, if you want to call it Pandora's box. Normally when you open up a Pandora's box, you get evil emerging out of it. But no, in this case, the Pandora's box simply means we want you, of course, to make choices. And whether or not the choices of the past have equal to the detriment and the dangers that are today being experienced in that part of the country, and whether or not it is sufficient, or should it not be now considered that approach seemed not to have worked, and whether there should be a paradigm shift away from what we know in order, of course, to bring respite and amelioration to this part of the country, the east-west corridor. Right. Dr. Khaled.
Right. So I'd mentioned young people, and it's mostly young people then.
Yes.
Younger
Let's face it.
30, man.
You go to the prison right now,
Yes.
and that is a statistical and an empirical reality.
Younger than 30. And this young man came, and others, they normally come at the center there. And I will be talking to them. When he came yesterday, he wanted to use the bathroom and things like that. I said, okay, look some toothpaste, like this, go clean up yourself.
And that's just one.
That's just one.
Yeah, that's a microcosm representation.
But in addition to him, you have more.
Yeah.
He's one who came yesterday, but you have a lot of them that custom coming. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they will come, because people say, you go by Mr. Khalid and you sort of get some deeds, you get a help out. And I mean, that is no fame to me. Yes. But I grew up doing these things because my family used to do these things.
Yeah, service to your community. Yeah.
So the thing is, and I hasten to mention, you talk about, they are saying that they're talking about the agricultural program. That is amusing to me. Here why it is amusing.
Yeah.
Because I can remember that Dr. Rowley had criticized and laughed at the estate rehabilitation program we have way back in the 80s and 90s. He laughed at it. He said that's a waste of time. He and Imbert, because the estate rehabilitation program was under Dr. Charles, the Ministry of Works, and the first Minister of Works for Manning was Imbert.
Yeah. But you're talking about the program under the NAR, the National Alliance for Reconstruction, between 1986 to 1991. That administration.
Right.
Okay.
That is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Our estate rehabilitation program under the NAR, with the joint arrangement we had with Pandy and one of them.
Yes.
That is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And Dr. Carson Charles, one of his ministries was Works and Local Government.
Right.
Imbert was the first Minister of Works under the Manning administration. The first thing he closed down, go out of his way to close down that. And he had to join with his buddy, Rowley, who was the first Minister of Agriculture. You hear me?
Yes.
For Manning.
Yes, yes.
So that team.
Yeah. You know, I remember, as you speak that, I remember distinctly a statement from the current acting Prime Minister and Finance Minister then.
Yes.
When he came on television, and that is why you see, frankly, it's only because Dr. Khalid is here, I will be moderate in my assessment of them.
Please do.
But I must say, I have no respect for them simply because they seem to be intellectually bereft. Even though they might have gone to university just as us, I suppose. But the fact of the matter is, that he said then, that look, they went and planted coconuts. I could remember that very distinctly. They went and planted coconut. And that would have been what? Let's say less than 5 years before. And not a coconut grow yet. And a typical coconut tree takes, of course, 25 years in order to bear coconut. I thought that was so hilarious as it was, in fact, totally stupid. Go ahead, my friend.
And then too, they got into the kind of race thing because the estate rehabilitation program was an arrangement between estate owners and things.
Yes.
So he started talking about French Creole and this kind of craziness.
Yes. In order to justify an action that ought not to have been.
Because we had a lot, and we still have a lot of abandoned estates.
Yes.
Right? And some of them had different produce and things like that.
Right.
So we had this arrangement. This because Dr. Charles is one, in my opinion, one of the best negotiators. We have a lot of people don't know how skillful he is. They saw it when he went in the Senate. They just get a little taste.
Yes.
But as we know, according to the young people, that the man bad.
Yeah, of course. Of course. In this case, people, for the old
bad
folks,
means good.
it means good, right? It's a reversal.
Very good.
The people these days, of course, is a local, colloquial expression.
The expression we use it.
Yeah.
Right? But he's very efficient and good, and he's a great manager.
Yeah.
Right? And this, so in negotiating, we made an arrangement with a lot of people who had estates that was abandoned, and we were able to start this program, and it's a full-scale program training people.
Yeah, but wasn't Dr. Charles involved in the Susulan initiative? You see, I'm saying that because he was in fact very strident, and he was focused on informing the present administration with respect to the highway to Point Fortin, that you got something on a platter because you never negotiated, for example, the purchase or the acquisition of land, and he showed them how you do it. Whereas Dr. Rowley and they were saying, well, market price, full stop, and you give, no, there is emotional attachment to land as well, and therefore the price of the particular plot may well be more when you attach or you consider as a humane government. And I think that was the lesson he was trying to give to Sinanan, that of course the fact that they could have opened the highway from Point Fortin to San Fernando was largely because of all these things were done, even tapped, of course, oil wells, etc., the removing of electrical, electrical installations and all of that. And to just glibly say, in other words, you constructed the road from Point Fortin to San Fernando is really and truly being dishonest, if not deliberately not telling the truth about the logistics and the difficulty and the challenges in order, of course, to produce that highway, which of course they would have laid the foundation when he was, of course, a chairman or CEO of NIDCO.
Yes. Right, but what happened? He and Humphrey, and they were close.
Right.
Remember, they were very close.
Yes. So Humphrey was a tower of power in that area.
So
yes.
even if he was not involved in the Susu land,
right,
he would have had a lot of ideas.
That's right, coming out from that
because
association, yes.
Exactly. They used to talk a lot and things like that.
Right.
And that is why we were able to do the thing. You see, Lennox, here water, and we know that, regardless how smart you are, how much schooling you have, we cannot be effective if we do things by ourselves. You agree?
I agree. Yeah. Just as 5 fingers, but all come together.
Good.
Different size, length, and so on, but they come together.
You try to hold
something.
You hold something, 1 finger, two fingers, you're in trouble.
You can't work.
You have the needle, and especially the big tomato presser there.
Yes, indeed.
So that is the thing. So when they go and they talk and stuff, they're not considering the whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I may want to say certain things, but because of my experience right now, I don't have time with that.
Right.
I'm just solution oriented. I know it have a whole set of things out there, and I know we have to get around it. We also know that we have to solve it fast, because every day you have new criminals on the scene.
Yes.
As you know, eh?
Yes.
Young men and women, all in the schools. In the prisons, is a lot, and it's mostly people who look like you and me in that prison.
Yes.
And they're committing crime too.
Yes.
So it have to be solved. While, yes, you come down with more policemen and more policewomen, but in addition to that, you can't kill everybody.
No, you can't kill everybody.
No.
Yeah.
So,
and you can't imprison everybody either.
You can't imprison everybody.
Yeah.
The junior prison starting to look like a full-fledged prison right now, because a lot of these men angry. God alone know what they're angry for. I mean, they're angry because some of them feel abandoned and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
So you have to organize and do it. So training, yes, in agriculture, training with different skills, making sure they apply the schooling,
right,
knowing your history. People don't like to hear anything about history. When you talk about, I can remember we have a program, and I talking about history and what we went through as a people, and a lot of people call in and say, I don't want to hear about that. And I am sure, even though I didn't see their face, most of the people who talking about it don't want to hear about no black history, black people. Blacker than issue.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Because it's too painful to hear about it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have to do something quick and organize our communities to save Trinidad and Tobago and our young people.
Yes, indeed. But I mean, we are looking for solutions, as we normally would say on a Sunday.
Right.
I would love to. I never told you that, but I would love to, of course, come and document by way of a video some of the initiative that you are taking, because we need to expose it here. We need to let the world know that there are solutions to these problems, and that, of course, lightning, I like to say, strikes in the same place twice. And I'm saying that in the context that what you would have discarded at one time may well end up, as the Bible would say, to be the cornerstone.
The stone
Or
that
of
the
course
builder
a prophet in his home is not recognized.
Not honored, yes.
Is not honored, right? But the fact of the matter is that there are certain issues that must be applicable to the solutions that some people, on the one hand, because of issues that are myopic, that are self-serving, they will not, and sacrifice, of course, the greater good for their personal notions that would turn out to be worse, as we are seeing unfolding on a daily basis here. Why am I saying all of that? I am saying all of that to say that, for example, the Ministry of Youth right now, they have in fact brought back a part of the live sports program. Live sports with a different name. That is what, you check it out. You go and check it out. You will see. And Dr. Rowley will be talking about it, but not mentioning the name live sports, but it's live sports type program, because live sports was about giving young men a helping hand. Helping hand meaning that hands up, and then of course giving them a stipend, and of course directing their minds into different skills and other life significant activities that will enhance their opportunity, the opportunities that may come to them, because they are prepared to take the opportunities having been prepared. That's the point I'm making. Yeah. And right now we are seeing that happening in the Ministry of Youth. If you hear the minister Cummins, sometimes he doesn't know if he's going or coming, but the fact of the matter is that is what is the focus now. They have gone back to things that they have neglected, and the time of neglect, I would say that it was irrelevant, ocious, unimportant, and then have now to reverse it. And so many programs that they would have abandoned for addressing the question of young people, the reduction in crime and criminality, etc. And I say so because I want to also introduce projects that would have worked, such as the MLIO initiative. You watch this and then you will have an appreciation as to what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So the terms are broke and they say that we set up jamming. So to foreign countries really start migrating. They do faith in the country, they say we burn down the grave. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talk it nonsense, but the matter really away is I will not going to run, because now is the time to show patriotism. For we country is that is sour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, they have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter.
So let us look at this question a little more closely, and to, of course, give an analysis as to what works. You see, my concern has been from time immemorial, having been, of course, committed all of my adult life, save for studies and so on this question of looking at measures, ameliorative measures, to influence the youth in particular, but of course at the same time recognizing that the adults must also play a role, because they will be the mentors, they will be, of course, the parents and the guardians and the, should I say, the inspirators, those who would motivate and who will be the exemplars and the role models. And therefore there must be a comprehensive look at the problem in order to solve the question of youth delinquency, crime and criminality, and we can go on and on in terms of what is the reality of Trinidad and Tobago today.
Correct.
So let us look at that. Take, for instance, that particular project that you're seeing there. There you have a picture with a young man from the UTAM, the Laventil for Laventillians UTAM. That young man who has the monitor in his hand, handing a computer to a younger fella. Well, in that particular case, the Laventil for Laventillians UTAM, we call him Palmer, he, the chairman, they would have, of course, with assistance and guidance from yours truly, of course, we got, of course, computers donated at a time when that was a scarcity. That was before Kamala Prasad Bisesa even introduced computers into the school system. So the date on that newspaper clipping will tell you. And guess what? It is as a consequence of a program that says computer literacy for all. And it was, in fact, a computer for each home in Laventil. That particular project you see there. And that young man that is the recipient of the computer lives, I'm sure he's still there, on the Betham. So we thought we should take as the most vulnerable within the plethora of vulnerable parts of the community, and of course begin the process of digitization, or making people become familiar with the information technological world. Back then, Dr. Khaled, I am making the point merely to say that in spite of the government programs, the plethora of which I mentioned earlier, why it is that you can be working in isolation in Missouri and Mova, and for all of Movarians, I should say. And of course, it brings to my mind as well the efforts of God Christopher, for example, who is much more recent since his government came into office in 2015, and had a program of after school computers, renovated, of course, an abandoned or demova abandoned health center, and he renovated it nicely, air conditioned, made it accommodating, and he would, of course, provide that service. This government closed it down, and efforts like that you're seeing there from the Laventil for Laventillians have been not supported. And I'm saying that from the perspective, and to get Dr. Khaled's response as to why it is the people who can least afford to provide those services, but doing it on their own volition, their own sense and commitment to community and the human spirit and the advancement and capacity building, so that they could go out there and do what is right for them, their family, and the community. Why it is that these programs, we are hearing about YTEP, we are hearing about YAPA, we are hearing, no, not YAPA, we are hearing about, of course, MyLab, MyTap, and all these programs. How come these programs are not incorporated? Because they are more micro, they are more granular, they are more specific community focus, and that therefore one would expect that will be given almost priority as far as I am concerned, because of the fact that it is dealing directly in the community, by community people, seeing the problem and decide, of course, to do something about it. Dr. Khalid, well, I've said enough.
Well, Lennox, you're correct. But my thought is a lot of the programs that we're doing, yes, it's good and it's the best program in my... We have been there doing that for years, since we were younger. But you have to remember, Trinidad is a place where people see things through the eyes of politics.
All right, okay,
right?
okay.
So here you are, who would have a different political view, because we have a different political view than the PNM.
The prevailing administration, right, and those. Right, okay, okay.
We see things differently politically,
right,
economically. We have a different approach. So now, a lot of them, they're very touchy, and when you criticize them, they feel very, they feel bad about it and they're angry. So they're not going to highlight what we're doing, even though you will call them and get them involved. They're not going to highlight what we are doing. Why?
And support it financially.
They're not going to support it financially.
Okay.
Because they're going to call us names. That Lennox Smith is so-and-so, Khalid is so-and-so, and they did this and that. And that is what they will do. But if they become... if they adopt a different approach and become more mature with that kind of thing, and stop the politicking for 5 years, because when you are campaigning, you're campaigning. But after you win, you're supposed to do things to develop Trinidad and Tobago, not so?
Yes. So
they're campaigning for 5 years and more. And that is the reason why, in my opinion, this is my opinion, our programs will not. Because they see us differently. They don't see us as a part of the institute or the part of the community who doing something positive. The guys who are looking for the change, they're not seeing us there. So they will attack, because they're thinking about campaigning all the time, and you and I would be political threats. So they're saying, nah, that's my opinion.
No, I accept, and I'm sure that the callers, of course, you can call now. At any time, we will not feel that we are interrupted or anything like that, because the discussion is very, should I say, volatile and up in the sky, because, I mean, we are looking at solutions. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because one has what attacks you in your face, or what confronts you with that approach, is that the government is responsible, by and large, for executed programs like those. One, let me repeat, the government is responsible for executed programs like those, because why it is that they have reintroduced laptops, why they have reintroduced, of course, books, why are they now talking about agricultural program and, of course, youth focus initiatives. In fact, private schools are now to be given some kind of tax rebate if they support private schools. So the work of the government is therefore shortchanged when they neglect for purposes of political aggrandizement and narrow-mindedness, because they concern themselves with the political agenda, if at all, of the creators or the promoters or those who have developed a program for capacity building of the human, all of the citizens, or the citizens in their specific area for which the government has a responsibility. How do you reconcile that, Dr. Khalid?
Well, no, but
how?
And that is the reason why. That is the reason why I've been talking about it. In my opinion, we will reconcile that by talking about it.
Okay.
Continue doing what we're doing, making contacts. Let people know that these are the things that is happening.
Yes.
Because it's easy for people to say, Lennox, I'm putting your water here, right?
Yes.
Thanks, young man. Yeah, Len. It's easy for people to say that bad things about Laventille.
Yes.
Without trying to get inside of the belly and seeing what happening.
Yes.
And every year we have a lot of young men and women come out of school with good passes, as you know.
Yes.
On the academic side. But in addition to that, they're not being taught how to marry the academic and the different thing. You have different. I'll give you an example. You see this thing you call locksmithing? Right. That is a trade. When I was in the States and I was studying and thing and working in the shelter, a lot of locks. These young people spoiling the locks all the time.
Right.
So always complaining, coming to me. Mr. Khalid, the locks are not working properly and the superintendent, that is the guy, you know, they call the cleaner, superintendent up there.
Right.
Because they're not just cleaning, they're cleaning, they're fixing locks.
And they have some
They're doing
handyman chores.
Well,
Yes.
a lot of handyman chores.
Okay.
Right? So they call it superintendent of the building.
Okay.
And most of the time, he have a staff under him.
Good.
They're like 2-3 persons.
Right.
Right? He more like supervising them. Right? So they're changing lock, they're doing this, they're doing plumbing, they're doing gas work, they're doing electrical, a whole range of work.
Okay.
Right. So, but the locksmith, every time the super coming to me, complaining, writing all the time, the locksmith not coming. So, since I like reading, I took a book, right?
Right.
And I started reading about how to change lock and thing.
Right.
And since, you know, I'm an old tailor, so I know how to use my hands. So I said, okay.
Right.
So I started now picking and changing locks. And I fell in love with it.
Right.
So I went and I did a course in locksmithing.
Okay.
So locksmithing is something that we need to train.
Right.
These young men in. The only lock that I have not put in and I intend to go and learn it is car locks.
Okay.
Any other kind of house lock, I can handle it and handle it efficiently.
Right.
And locksmithing is something that if you train young men, they could make a nice living out of that.
Yeah.
Go
But
ahead.
does that mean that you could broaden your minds and make these resources available?
Yeah.
But the central issue is that the state has a responsibility to treat with those matters. Here it is, you on your own volition, educate yourself, and of course, sharing that with those who would otherwise create problems for the society, and so fill up the jails more, and of course, contribute to doing badly at the C and the CXC and the university, etc. They may not even get in there. And the role of the fundamental role of the government is in fact a responsibility you have taken. And the government, because they believe that you may carry that success to another political entity, if you want to call it that, because that seemed to be the direction in which you are talking, Dr. Khalid. And as a consequence, abandon that responsibility. So, if you decide now not to take on that responsibility, what happens? And that is the question. If you decide not to take on that responsibility, there is a vacuum, there is a need for it. And here it is. Because you are Lennox Smith or Khalid Rahman or Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke or some other person, God Christopher, then the population, the citizens, must be plagued with potential delinquents that could kill them. That is what the possibilities are,
And that,
in my view,
right. And
Dr. Khalid.
And that is where being narrow-minded comes in. Because I could remember Dr. Rowley saying that the estate rehabilitation program was a waste of time.
Right.
Because he went out of his
Purely
way.
on politics, has
Yeah,
nothing to
politics.
do with the merits of
Right.
the project itself.
Good.
To improve and enhance capacity building,
Good.
human
And-
capacity building.
And then too, in addition to that, remember we set up the estate rehabilitation program, yes.
Yes.
We also had the cottages.
Right.
Don't forget the cottages.
Yeah, remember
along-
that? Yes, that was
Along
entrepreneurial.
the east-west
Yeah,
corridor.
small man
Right.
entrepreneurship. Yeah.
In the priority bus route, going right up, training, right.
Yes.
Yeah, training a lot of young people to do different things.
Yes.
And all those centers that we put within the community, including
Yes.
MOVA.
Yes, that's
to
right.
train people,
Cottage centers.
cottage,
The train,
industrial
capacity building. Yes.
development training program, teaching people how to make wine and thing, and how to market your product, how to make a change out of it,
Yes.
how to get into business. That's what you have to do.
And
see?
you as a government, in seeing that is your role,
Good.
that somebody has literally usurped,
Right.
and that you don't know that you have
Right.
to motivate and encourage and facilitate.
But then they're saying, yes, we're doing this and doing that, but you alone know it. And if you don't really talk to people, you wouldn't really be, people wouldn't know what you're doing.
Yes.
And then people who want to get into these different programs find it have so much bureaucracy. You have your program, you know,
Yeah.
but then to get into it, you have a problem.
Yes,
You
right.
understand
That's
what
right.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And the land that you say you're giving out, who you giving it to?
Yeah,
How you giving it
because
out to?
what I think about, you have to only 20 plots to give out, and some 200 persons
Right.
applying.
Right.
But for 20 plots, I mean, it is simply ludicrous, frankly, and does not and will not achieve the objective that you want people to gravitate to a life of agriculture. It must be as fast as possible accommodate the largest amount of persons
Right.
that may express an interest,
Right.
even though at the end of the day all of them will not be successful. I taken liberty to say that because of my experience with, of course, MLIO and the thousands, over 6,000 young people that, of course, we trained over between 1984 to, of course, around 2020. Go ahead, Dr. Khalid.
Right. So this is it. This is the thing. Training them young people in different things, giving them a hands up to do certain things.
Yes.
And then from there, you can even get people into the prisons. We have prison program too. You need to go in there and talk to these young men, because we claim that when the young men go into prisons, when they come out, they're supposed to be rehabilitated. But guess what? When they come out seasoned criminals. Because when they go in there, all kind of advantage.
That's right, because that's the alternative
things
to
happen to them.
being myopic in terms of your delivery.
So that is the thing. You can make Lennox, as we know as well, you could create some new careers, additional careers. But young people not just getting a stipend, getting a comfortable salary, doing certain things, right? Because up to now, I'm still talking to a lot of these young men. And I've lost some, and I'm making it sound personal, because that's how it is. I've lost some who get involved in crime and get killed. But Almighty God give us a victory too, where out of the hundreds of young people that we've been talking to, is only about 9 of them that we lose.
And without government involvement. So just imagine if government was involved, the closer to 100% will certainly be a realistic target.
Good. Without government involvement.
Yes. Let us look at the picture or the video at the back of us. Here it is. Since 1991 to 1992, of course, in the intake of the MLIO trade school, and that is just the female part. There's over 300 of them. So that's just the female who would, of course, been engaged in a number of well, those days was black and white picture, but the tops would have been yellow, and the of course skirt, well, the black that you're seeing there. And of course, people were proud to, of course, wear their skirts. Of course, you would see none of them is below the age of 11. So you see is adolescent we are talking about. The very young people who today are creating the problems of borderline issue, gang warfare, both in school and outside of school. All of them in the secondary system in particular. Well, those are the ones. None of them there is below, of course, 16, because we would have taken in students from, let's say, age 15. They had to come out of the primary school first, so 15, and some that might have left the secondary system, so 16 to 19 or 20, 21, thereabout. We even had 25-year-olds because we still consider them to be young. But the fact of the matter is that if we alone, that's the point I'm making, if we alone are 300, just imagine what the reality is out there. Take them at the behest and at the interest and commitment and dedication of a community project. No government support. And the government will watch that kind of program and say no funding by people who themselves are struggling but see a problem, decides to solve it, and before the government come and facilitate, they are concerned about Lennox Smith, Khalid and others' political affiliation, and therefore our money, the state money, the treasury of the country, taxpayers' money, they believe they could spend it elsewhere on failed projects.
Right. But
Dr. Khalid.
yeah, but you see, you're right, quite right. But in addition to that, we are not the people who take a position just on politics. We're working with everybody.
That's right.
Including the
and who provide,
yes.
who provide is those who give commendation. You have no choice.
Yes.
So if the PNM, for example, would have given support, certainly you have to praise the PNM. Yes. If the UNC gave the support, then it's them you have to praise. And we can go on and on in terms of that kind of scenario.
Look how much time I come here and I give praise and defend Leon.
That's right. Yes, you have.
Of course, because of what he have done. He's one of the guys I can go to and assure. I can go to him and he would give some kind of assistance.
That's right.
Right. But in addition to that, you have more things to be done.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You cannot be so myopic. You can't be so devious. You can't be so self-serving. You can't be so egotistic. And I have concluded because they cannot do it. They cannot do it. Because if they could have, they would have. And therefore the problem of young people today would not have been so devastatingly and exponentially widespread and prolific. No. So it's clear. But you can't do it. You don't want to support those who can by some political notion that you have because you cannot do it, and you prefer to leave these young people out there at their own whim and fancy to the detriment of the rest of us. We are living in a Russian roulette environment where anybody could be killed at any time. Whether you want to call it collateral damage, the fact is that you ought not, you as the victim of collateral damage, ought not to be so exposed or be the recipient thereof, because you can lose your life. Look in that particular picture behind us, Dr. Khalid. You would see, of course, Noor Hassan Ali, the former president, giving, of course, Devious. We used to call him Devious. That's a fella who used to come to the MLIO school and hide his gun in one of the tree roots and come in classes. We discovered that, of course, subsequently. But after the 6th year, and of course his ultimate graduation within about, of course, a year and a half, he was receiving the award for the most improved student, and he ended up working in the hospital as a wardsman. Understand the potential. That is what we are talking about. Solution. That is within the bosom of the community.
Good.
Dr. Khalid.
Yes. Look at another thing. I think we discussed it on our other program a long time ago.
Yes.
I think you're the one who brought the idea to me. And I said, what about to talk about, look like the hospitals.
Yes.
You remember you telling me we talk about that
things, yes.
as a whole set of
beds and wheelchairs, etc.
Yes, wheelchairs out there. We train young people to fix them things.
That's right.
Instead of government having to buy them things all the time. You employ a team, you train them, and they're fixing all these things.
And they earn a living.
And they earning a living.
And they don't have to gravitate to a life of crime.
And because that's the basic thing.
That's right.
That's the basic thing. And Trinidad is a small country, 1 million plus. We could handle the thing. And God bless us, we have resources to it.
That's right.
So
human as well as material and physical.
Human and physical resources. So you have things that you could get them involved in. Yeah. But you have to have people who want to do it.
That's right.
Instead of just you go and you just hire somebody because of the political affiliation or because you train people and you get people who love to do what they're doing and different
and
things.
deliver. It is about deliverability. It is about training or deploying people with the skills and the know-how. And you cannot get it better than experience. Experience is the best teacher, and from within the community. Yeah. What you want better than that? You put a program like that all over or to facilitate Lavatil itself, not like what they did to, of course, the technology center. That was my idea, but the way how they roll it out is in the usual run-of-the-mill, what I consider to be myopic and short-change way, because the community is not involved. And that is why you would have right outside the doors murders and killings and gang warfare and so on, because they fail to put in that community component where these young people would respect those persons simply because they are living among them, and therefore they will still say Mr. Khalid or Dr. Khalid or Mr. Smith or Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, etc. But the government is not of that. They are that myopic, they are that politically sensitive to their own cause and believing that they can deprive the people and that the situation will improve. No, it will get worse. It will get worse. Look, that is a fella called Devious, as I said, was a gunman. Look, he's receiving from Noor Hassan Ali the prize or the award for the most improved student. And we have had many of those over the years of the existence of the program, and no longer exist because of the PNM. Well, the PNM, because the NAR was very supportive, the UNC would have been supportive, but once the PNM comes into office and you doing something like that, and I just gave you the example of not only Gad Christopher, I can tell you about Listra Penny and the Street Children program. They mash up that too. I can tell you about Archbishop Gray Burke and her children's home. They mash up that too. Starve it by not funding it. And so what they have done is sow the seeds and foment greater fragmentation and young people gravitating to their own whims and fancy, because the devil has work for idle hands. When these people are there in the community 24/7 watching them. Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke is connected to all of the Baptist churches all over Laventille. There are more Baptist churches than any other church in that particular area. Because in the case of the Catholic, for example, they will only have one. But in the case of the Baptist, where I come from, there were some 11 within a radius of 1 kilometer.
Right.
11 Baptist churches. Right. Small, yes, but important for direct and real-time intervention. Dr. Khalid.
I see here on YouTube, right? There's somebody asking Lennox Smith and Khalid, what is the way forward? They want a speedy solution, right?
Yeah.
They say a speedy solution is required.
Yes.
Yes. Now, they're correct, right? The way forward is both political and otherwise.
Yes.
You have a lot of social programs that need to be funded, right? That they're not implementing now. And if the programs they have, they need to talk to people like us and include a lot of these ideas we have in the program.
That's right.
And they need to find out how to get these young men to listen and rehabilitate them.
That's right.
You can't just have programs where you set it up through the ministry in isolation of the communities.
That's right.
Good. And people can't get involved. And when people find out about it, you go and you have a whole set of problems to get involved in these programs. And then too, a lot of these young men and women going to this program, they need to get just more than a stipend. Some of them, as I said, living below the walkover.
That's right.
They have to go and stool all at the side of the road.
Yeah, everywhere is a latrine for them. Yeah.
They don't have no way to take a proper
open
bath.
latrines, yes.
To take a proper bath. That is a problem. A lot of them programs, a lot of them have mental issues too.
That's right.
The family put them out and that kind of thing.
But the caller asked specifically, what is the way forward?
Well,
so maybe from what you said, we could identify the way forward.
Well,
I will note it when you would have put
so the way
general perspective.
The way forward is finding the right people who want to do the work, funding a lot of these programs. Some of the programs you may have to scrap them and concentrating on the communities that have the most trouble and getting them involved. That is my perspective.
Okay. I want to draw the viewers and the listeners' attention to what is on the screen there. That is a letter from Professor Bennett to Patrick Manning, imploring and telling him that the community-based, direct, in-your-face, real-time intervention mechanism to addressing social problems is the way to go. Now, I went up there. That's from the Washington University. That's the letter that you're seeing in the back of me. I thought it was important to put it up so you will see. We are talking solutions here, so that's the way forward we are talking about here. Where he, of course, implored to focus on programs as what Dr. Khaled is talking about. The way forward, yes. And he invited me up there. I did about 2 or 3 or 4 lectures on Laventille, of course, at the American University in Washington, where, of course, all of the who is who children in the United States, Congress, and so on, the political, let's say, brotherhood exist, and, of course, attend to that particular university. In fact, we set up, before I came back, a sort of exchange program, Laventille. But in came another PNM administration under Manning, and the entire thing was scuttled. That is a letter to Manning indicating that programs like these is the way to go for a small country such as ours. But no, they were concerned about Lennox Smith's political association or affiliation, the progenitors, and they themselves. And I have, it's not that lack of trying, I've told them, come and take it. Put your own people on the board. But I remain, of course, the one that will be central, because all they don't have the know-it-all or the know-how, or they do not have, of course, the skills, or they do not know what makes the community ticks, and how to get those young people to come into a program like this, and to, of course, settle down, and then, of course, to partake, and to then get the benefits and go out there and make their contribution positively to society. Right. Dr. Khaled.
Yes, look at something. A lot of people these days are they are fascinated with the work that China is doing. At one time was Japan.
Yes.
And all the cars that they're making, that it wasn't strong anyway. But they're fascinated with China.
Yes.
China have human resources, plenty human. They train them in all kind of things. I was reading a program where a child at the age of 5 would learn to do a radio and a computer and phone and that kind of thing. They're training them.
Yes.
To use their hands together with their mind.
Yes.
So you have to train them to acquire certain skills. Because we, as human, we are learning beings. So we could learn to do certain things, and you can match your hands with your brain.
Yes.
But the government any government must be involved.
Facilitate. That's what happens in Japan.
Yes.
A child likes the mashing up cars, toy cars and so on.
Yeah.
They let them focus on that until they become adults, and if that fascination still persists, they then, of course, gravitate and are absorbed into that system, so that they become very, 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 very extremely good.
And there are people that you read about who are medical doctors today. You know what they used to do when they were small? Come and take a frog and cut it up and all kind of things.
Yes. And once you see that, you know that as the adult, as the policy maker, as the government, you know that is a potential doctor, and therefore you facilitate, you provide the infrastructure and all of the motivation to, of course, develop that skill, because it is needed. And every single skill is needed, whether you're garbage cleaner, whether you are a janitor, whether you are a carpenter, as indeed whether you are a doctor, lawyer, or banker, Dr. Khaled.
But a lot of men who have training have been almost everything.
Right.
We did everything.
Yes.
Cleaning, doing this, doing that, doing the other. As I said, tailoring, I did all sorts of things.
Yes.
You have your focus. My focus is history, sociology,
right,
good, and comparative religion.
Right.
But in addition to that, there are other things that you learn to do.
That's right.
The human being, in my opinion, don't really have no one career. Yeah. Because when you go in university and you learn different programs, you have physics, you have this, you have that, you have that, you focus on one. Right?
Eventually, yes.
But in doing you're training, you have more than 10. Correct?
Yeah. You have a generic,
Good.
a generic, just as in secondary school, form 1, form 2.
Right.
You do almost all the subjects, physics, you do, of course, literature, you do social studies, etc., etc. And when, of course, by form 3, you are expected, of course, to specialize.
Right.
But you would have had a foundation where you have a comprehensive understanding of the world around you.
So specialization.
Yes.
But it comes by learning other things.
That's right.
And it also comes by time too. Because if someone never had the opportunity to do certain things, but they have the strong desire, once the opportunity comes, regardless of how old or how young they are, and they really want it, they embrace it, and they can excel.
Of course.
Because I know guys who wasn't able to read properly. Good?
Right.
Some of them couldn't read at all.
I've had many of them in my days as well, yes.
And listen, and I know one particular guy, he was able to learn to read, and right now he has a master's degree. You know what happened? He had such a great memory because this guy used to go and play way. You know, when it was illegal.
Right.
You go and he will come to Lennox and say, what mark you want? No, we can't write nothing, eh? Lennox say, I want this, I want that, it's okay, play that for me, give him the money.
And you have a mental capacity to retain that.
But listen, he go to 20 different people. Lennox, when this guy come, now we not writing nothing, eh?
Yeah, because it's dangerous, because if you get hold with the punter.
But besides that, he can't.
Right.
So you had a thing.
Oh, he can't write.
So the point I'm making, you're talking about the memory. The point I'm making is a lot of people who can't do things. And
One way.
Right. They have to develop a memory.
Yes,
and when you break that barrier and you get them involved in doing certain things, they have additional strength because they have the memory. That the point I'm making.
Yeah. So it becomes easy. The substantive part becomes very easy to go through a course program at the level of the university as well. Is it something like a person who can't hear but they can use their eyes better?
Yes.
The kind of thing they
and
develop.
Same thing with blind people.
Blind people, yes. You use your ears, yes.
Good. So the point is opportunity. You create the opportunity.
And that is what it's all about.
So the way forward is you create the opportunity. Yes. Seek out the right people. You understand?
How do you do that? Since the solution is seek out the right people to generate the delivery and the discovery and the delivery.
So you find out about programs like us. We're not isolated, Lennox. Everybody know about Khaled in the community. Everybody know about Lennox. It's about the people that we know about. So you can't tell me you don't know. Find out.
Your job is to find out. That's the first thing. Find out.
Deal with the community. Good, you know what I say?
Yes.
Deal with the community. Every day I have people who found out about me that I don't know. Mr. Rahman, we want to use the community center. We want this. We want to do this and that. We have this program. You find out. And they will get.
It's easy for anybody to do, far less for government. They have the police, they have the fire service, they have the health centers in the community, they have the community centers, and these people gravitate there. So they must know who are the shakers and movers.
And some of us work with the police.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not difficult to find out. But what they do, they would normally, if they want to bring in a program into your community, they do an advertisement. And then people who you never saw before or never train a child or create anything at all, they suddenly come and they provide their resume or whatever it is. And if they are politically connected, they get the job and can deliver. That must stop.
They can't deliver because they have no connection to the community.
That's right. In reality.
And then you have certain plagues going to come. You have people coming at you with and then you can't. When we were renovating the community center,
yes,
guys, way back in 2013, 2014.
Right.
We renovated the community center. We had a particular company, I will not call the name, they got the contract.
Right.
They gave a Rasta man that he got the contract.
Yeah.
Good? But rather than working with me, you had people, our boy who's there now, I won't call his name on here.
Okay.
You know, he had some menacing ways. He used to do, so he like to say all kind. So he and his son now going and saying, well, look, Khalid is this and he that and they this and they don't want to deal with me. Even though they got the contract through the Ministry of Works and the department I was working with. So it would have been easy. So what,
no, I know about it.
Right.
I can tell you about those kinds of
Right.
developments. I mean,
Right.
it's
Right.
par for the course as
So-
far as I'm concerned.
so the
in terms
guy
of understanding
came
it.
and he went in the community and said, okay. And he went with some of these young men there now.
Right.
And they come at him.
Yeah.
They come at him with a ton of brick.
Right.
And they come at him. Rather than come in to say, well, I need some help, he ran and leave the program and he said that I sent guys at him.
Yeah.
So I had to sit down and tell his boss, leave me out of that. I'm a mature man with that
Yeah,
childishness.
I know about that.
And I explained, I say, if that guy had came so, I said, but there's his attitude and he like talk.
Yeah.
I said, but every story have three sides.
Yes.
Your side, my side, then it have the truth.
Yes.
The truth is always there.
Yes.
So he didn't come. And as a result of that, the center was all up there. Grass started to grow. That is how.
Another.
Yes. Another phase came.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to.
And the objective is to complete the damn center.
Good.
And it was completed.
So I'm not going to let it stay there.
That's right. You have to find ways and means to make have it done. Yeah.
We got another contractor to do the job. And then as the president now, I was able to
manipulate and to massage the entire
and we
thing
were
and
able
get it done.
to get around all the programs, all the problems they had.
Yes,
so I just saying, come to people within the community.
Yeah.
Stop being political too much, because you would be when you're in office. Stop saying, I'm not dealing with Lennox, I would victimize him because he would criticize me. Or call it and
even though nobody else doing what we are doing even till
Yes.
today, to let the people know what happens in a community such as Laverton, Beetham and so on,
But-
in terms of what is required to move
but
and to eliminate that negativity that is there.
We have young people who have fabulous training. When I come out, the thing that and right now we are not given any salary. So I come out there
voluntarily.
Good. I come out there Saturday to Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday to Saturday.
8 days a week.
Yes, right through. Right through every day.
Because of the commitment.
Good.
And this in itself,
Yeah.
this corridor transformation and the fact that we could have been sleeping like everybody else and having a good Sunday meal. Here it is, we are here.
Right. So
Solutions we're talking about here.
So this is it. So solution, way forward, you contact the right people.
You get the people who are the shakers and movers in the community. That's
And-
all you
and-
do. First stage of the process. Look at that. Look at that news clipping at the back. Somebody put pen to paper and wrote Smith victim of dirty politics. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because of your good works and because I am outspoken and I tell it as it is, I consider constructive criticism. If you don't want to adapt and adjust because you are on an agenda that is detrimental to the community, then too bad for you. I remember very distinctly, Dr. Khalid.
Right.
Fitzgerald Hines was able to orchestrate the construction of a drain parallel to the priority bus route, but along the phase 4 and 5 of the Beetham. I could never forget that, and it is a classic example before we move on to the next phase as to solutions, because that in itself presents the solution that we are talking about. Now, the contractor came, and it's not for the first time because I've had it in other places, which we will talk in subsequent, of course, programs, to look at the intensity and the significance and the veracity and the viability of the solution we are talking about. So he went there. He caused, the contractor came and of course started to work. The community, the young fellas and them, come out and start to threaten the contractor. Threaten the contractor. They're looking for work. Some look for work merely as a ruse, not to work, but to get money. Some of them will say, I will watch your back. All of that from who I don't know. Maybe it has sukunya in the place or wherever it is, because suddenly you tell a man, I will watch your back. What do you mean by that? They themselves will orchestrate, of course, the robbing or the intimidation by violent threat and the use of course, weapons, guns and knives and whatever they have in order to intimidate for you to relinquish or to relieve you of your money. So Heinz got to find out. I'm showing you how politicians who are myopic and who either they're simply, I have to say, either jealous or they simply do not know and will not, of course, seek help from those who know because they are in the community. That is the solution we are talking about. I'm just giving you an example here to move on. And Heinz, when he was confronted with that by the media, he said that Laventille needs prayer. Beaten people need prayer. Needs prayer. No, the drain is important because without it, flooding takes place and therefore discomforting the residents of Beetham phase 4 and 5. But yet still, when confronted with that situation where the contractor cannot work to put a drain to benefit the community, as far as he is concerned, if they don't want the contractor to work, then they lost, and therefore they will continue, of course, to have flooding as part of their daily lives or seasonal lives, as the case may be. And then I had to tell him, no, you do not do that. If it is that you brought a project there that could only employ 5 persons, but maybe the contractor bring all 5 from outside, or they could only take 5 because 100 persons, I'm just drawing a figure, 100 persons come for work. Then you, Heinz, as the parliamentary representative, must not only understand the socio-economic and psycho-cultural dynamics of the place, and therefore you have to find solutions. You cannot just say that the Laventille people or Beetham people needs prayer and the problem still persists, and what could happen is that the contractor pulls out and the community remains because all of them are not deserving of the consequences of those who are aggressive and would prevent the contractor from working. Usually it's a bluff. So what you do? You either put more work into the community so that they could get more employment. You could do that. That's one way. Or you can make an intervention, as I have with the construction of the Hockett Baptist School. You go and talk to everybody and tell them, listen, the issue is this. The project can only accommodate 4 or 5. You put maybe a team to work out that 5 and work out the arrangement for the duration of the project. They don't want to do that. And then, of course, you tell them, most important, the value of the project. I had to tell the surrounding community when they are contacted the contractor for the construction of the Hockett Baptist School. Listen, the children of that school are sharing with the government school down on the old St. Joseph Road. We call it the new school, the Laventil primary school. Success. We tell them that. And we also told them that all are missing out opportunity long term. Because when the Hockett School is constructed, not only could someone get to make $1 through putting up a little makeshift business, whether they're selling confectionaries or they're selling roti or they're selling chana or they're selling, of course, bacon shack, whatever it is, because more people will be coming, so you have a ready-made customer base. But more than that, because people have to come to work, all the teachers and students and parents, when they have to, you could get more people to, of course, buy P cars or H cars, as the case may be. And because it's off route, they're getting more money in their pockets. We had to go through all of that for them to understand the significance. But most important, that the parents of those children who would be occupying this new school, instead of having them pay passage to send the child to school because of the absence of school places in Laventil, because of the absence of the Hockett School, you will now be able, of course, to send your children to school, walk to school, and therefore you do not have that cost of having to send them to another school far and beyond your capacity to facilitate that on a consistent basis. Is against that background, everybody came to an understanding. All right, everybody can't get work, but they will try to rotate it as much as possible. But the most important thing is to get the school to build. That is how Hockett School was built. It's the same thing I expected of a parliamentary representative, understanding the socio-economic dynamics, that they will be able to, of course, make that project be implemented, because the ultimate is that flooding will take place if that drain was not constructed. Hines say the people need prayer. Come on, Dr. Khaled, sorry to be emotional, but when I'm in that mood, I'm very, 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 taken aback. Yeah. And I would song, of course, angry, I may song emotional, etc. But the caller or the blogger talked about solutions. Well, so you do not have people like that, in other words, as part of the decision making. Fellas like Hines and they, who have that clearly out of their league and square peg and wrong hole rationalization. Go ahead, Dr. Khaled.
You see, you're correct. Emotions is a part of the thing. And we always give out emotions in different ways. But we have to be emotional at times. Sometimes very emotional, but with certain control.
Of course. Right. Yes.
Now, you see what you have said there? I can remember one morning going to work, right? I was working in Ministry of Works. Going to work, I went to buy papers, right? Every day. So I went to, it was a Friday morning. I go on in the shop by one of the shopkeepers who always make a contribution to us. And I said, morning there, same morning. But I noticed she kind of trembling and stammering.
Yeah.
She's very articulate, she don't stammer. And when I look in the corner, I see two young men. One that, he not no criminal, but whenever he drink, there's poison water, there's this punching. Yes, poison water. When he drink the punching, he's go mad. So he there and he have a gun in the corner, and the next one, all of them, the parents are not good.
Right.
So I say, where? I say, where's the problem with you? He say, I tell me so and so to give me 20% of what she make, and she thinking. First thing comes to my mind was, you could work out 20%, anything, but then I say no. So I say, Anne, Annie, close your window, because you have this window.
Yeah.
Say close it up. So then I'm showing you how dangerous it is. He said, he pulled out a gun. I said, that gun ain't doing nothing, you know. I said, well, come outside, let me talk. I said, because yeah, what? If anything happened to me, and let's say things just happen, I wouldn't be around to stop it. I said, because if anything happened to me, it have people who love me and like what I'm doing, and you would not like what will happen to you. They will come so quick, and I wouldn't be able to say, well, yeah, what? I can't stop it. Don't do that, no, leave that alone, and blah, blah, blah. So he come outside. Well, he came outside, the guys outside, they realized what happened, and they surround them and things like that. I left, I went to work. My nephew and they who police the different things. My nephew called me about 2 hours after. Say, Uncle, well, you ain't had to tell me nothing, you know, because you're a secret. He said, but I handle that. I said, handle what? He said, I handle that. I said, he said something happened to you this morning. You could have called me and tell me nothing. Well, I deal with that. No, I had to go and can undo in a way.
Right.
Right? Because the parents came to me begging, crying,
Right.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I'm showing you, it is a dangerous thing what we're doing.
That's right.
Because some people say, well, you mad to do that. You know what I mean? But what we're doing is very risky. You have to take a risk. Rehabilitation is very hard and risky. It borders on living or dying too. But if you leave it and it gets worse, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then nobody will be able to live in any part of Trinidad.
That's right.
You think
Russian roulette.
you think it's just Lavender areas, but I can remember being in a debate with a guy and say, so what are you trying to tell me? People who live in certain parts of Vilesine and all these gated communities, they don't have no problem. Why? So why if they don't have no problem, take down the gate then and move the well-paid security officers that you have inside there, then move it, you don't have no problem. You don't have no problem inside, but when you come outside, you have a problem. Right outside the gate, it waiting.
Of course.
So what we're doing, without any gated community, is fabulous.
Yeah.
You understand? And you would not have to put up any gate if you have people like us training and dealing from experience. You do this and you do that. This is how you do it. How you handle it. Take a young man by the side and say, okay, do so. Train them, come inside, sit down, learn to handle the computer, learn this. It have a guy right now in prison, and that has hurt me. You talk about a mad brain, he choose to, I talk to him over and over and over and over. He go and he get himself involved in a murder, and now he's in prison. He ain't sure to come out now or ever at all. You understand? They ain't called the case yet. So what he got involved in, he and another one got involved in, happened 4 or 5 years ago. The case ain't called yet.
Right.
You know it is in Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
So, you never to know when the case will go on. The parents can't afford to pay the big money to any lawyer.
Right.
So, if they give them court-appointed lawyers, they know that going through.
Yes.
So, in trouble. But you're talking about a young man with a mad brain. Very, very smart. Good. Because he used to come in the center there, and sometimes I have him walk around with me, and these children who might be having mad problem, he just walk out. I said, so why you and go and do your O-levels and do bright like that? So it's a lot of good souls, people with good talent. The other one with him could fix any kind of thing. Skillful like that. But because of the people they have around, and that's another
And the
thing.
prioritization, yes.
they have the priority, and they have people who are around them too, who come in and saying, that one, he's dead now, I wouldn't call his name, he came down from the States, and he came down and they used to be calling him father, and he's the one who influenced them fellas in that kind of thing. Yeah. And now he got afraid of them because they were more bad than him.
Yeah.
The younger
he created monsters.
He created monsters, and they're going around and taxing people and taking things. And you know how much time I see like gas truck coming in and they just jump up and they take all the gas tank and have the people running. Now about so much of them die.
Yeah.
That whole crew that
the ultimate
yes.
For the ineptitude and their nefarious ways.
Right.
Is death. The wages of sin is death.
Because they're killing each other.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So the reality is, programs like these, initiatives like these, people need to come, make the right, contact the right people. Government must know that you are part of it. If you're not interested, then they will be removed.
Yes.
That's another part of the solution. Because as I say, I'm political also. But I don't allow politics to govern everything that I do.
Yes.
But if you're not interested in contacting the right people and making the right move to change and clean up the place, then you will be removed politically.
Yeah. It's a natural corollary, a natural consequence.
You will be removed by the ballot. You hear what I say? Not the other B.
Not the bullet.
Right.
By the ballot. Yes.
That is the way. That's the legal way, and it's going to happen.
Well, people, of course, we have come to the end of today's program from 8 to 10 o'clock, of course. Very interesting indeed. Of course, Dr. Khaled raised another dimension as far as the community focus and the way that it must be done, because the government has the monolithic, the mega resources of the country, the treasury, to manage the affairs of the country, without which none of them would be in government today. If they had to do that work voluntarily, Hines, nor Dr. Rowley, nor Camille Robinson Regis, none of them, we would see them. Maybe you might quicker see Dr. Khaled and me, and people like Archbishop Burke, who are truly committed to the community. But I want to leave you with this, because I noticed the topic is so interesting that no one has called this morning. Of course, 337-6940 is the number. We have invited you, but it's too late now. And of course, for our Christmas hamper program, 3366, well, of course, the Christmas hamper program, where, of course, we are helping, of course, the needy. Well, 336-6594, 336-6594, and all those with birthdays today, a happy birthday as well. But I want to leave you with Dr. Khaled's last point, and that is, and in addition to what I'm going to say, that is why no one in government could do what we are prepared to do, to interact with those who may be engaged or have the potential to engage in criminal behavior, gang warfare, borderline issue, home invasion, etc. None of them will be able to do it. And in other words, I'm saying all that to say, we are exposed to the same danger as those persons who would have been the victim of home invasion, of robbery. But we are in the community, and we run the risk of loss of life and loss of limb. And we can show you examples of that. Horace Raymond, for example, a community worker, but they tell him don't come up in Beverly Hills, and he said, well, listen, me ain't interfering with anybody. He left Picton and gone up there because he pulling bull, and that was the end of him. And I can tell you of several other instances like that. So it is not just a simple thing. You have to be saturated with the spirit of service to do this thing without money and without a government recognizing that what you are doing they cannot do. And no matter how much bureaucrats and technocrats and how much projected that they stay in their little cocoon in their various ministerial offices and design, they cannot roll it out without the people like these. Understand that? So what is the solution? The first solution, as we said, is to find out who. But the ultimate solution, because there are those who have the responsibility and fail to want to find out because they believe that our political association is more important to them, that is their priority, and knowing that, and it must be something connected to the PNM, well, the first thing to do is to get rid of the PNM. That's the first thing. The very first thing to do is to get rid of the administration that is in place, that is insensitive and that will not, of course, do what is required in order, of course, to seek out and to address the problem. We have given you enough fodder, enough information, enough experience or experiences to draw you on your own volition that inevitable conclusion. So we leave you with that until next week Sunday, of course, when Dr. Khalid and myself will be here. But before we leave, of course, Dr. Khalid, your closing remarks.
Well, yes, people again, it's a Sunday morning is always wonderful to be with you. In the near future, God's willing, Lennox and I would share some time with you all during the week. So we'll have, instead of just being together on Sunday.
One Sunday, one day of the week.
Yeah, we'll have another day in the week and we'll be talking. But just please consider the things that we have said. And also, I have one disappointment. We didn't get any phone call this morning.
Yes.
So that is it. Because when you call, it sort of give us the energy and the gas to do more and say better things, right? Say more things. So, but see you next Sunday, God's willing.
Yeah, and of course, I think it might be divine intervention or providence, because we have been talking so well that you believe that you would interrupt us. I've given a reason why no calls this morning, because normally we will have, of course, several persons calling in during the course of the program. So I want to thank you for being a good listener and for, of course, we coming into your space, so to speak, and providing you clearly with information that you are not aware of, that exists, and that has been fomenting or contributing to, of course, the unrelenting crime scourge that we have in Trinidad and Tobago today. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Don't forget tonight. Oh boy, let's go quickly. Let's go quickly. Somebody take up the challenge, boy. All right. A pleasant good morning. Welcome as we are closing.
I just want to say pleasant good morning to you, Lennox Smith, and your co-host.
Yes.
When I'm looking to get ready to go to church, I'll say before I go, let me call in and say blessed morning to the both of all you. And we go see together next Sunday.
Yes.
Right?
Wonderful.
Okay,
blessing.
You have a good one as well, and
Right.
blessings to you as well.
Church.
Yes, indeed.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that means he was one of those who were listening attentively and preferred not to disturb. So he thinks. Of course, you are not disturbing, and don't be surprised whether it's in night or daytime or Sunday. Don't forget, we don't discriminate. We don't care about blue verb, red verb, yellow verb.
Yes.
What we concern about is the communication ability. So once it's not smart, once it's not, of course, obnoxious, but it is about contribution, and we could communicate. Local parlance, local, of course, dialect, it doesn't matter. Call us and let us, of course, put that on the agenda so that we can have a conversation, but a conversation towards amelioration or addressing the problems of the society, particularly along the east-west corridor. Once again, have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless. And see you tonight from 8 to 10. And don't forget once again either that, of course, 336-6594. Right now, you can call my assistant, and she will, of course, accommodate in terms of your contribution to our Christmas and our hamper and our toy collection program. Oh boy, they don't want us to leave. A pleasant good morning. Welcome to the corridor.
Good morning to you and all the listeners and Uncle Khaled.
Yes, morning.
I want to say the program was very informative. I learned a lot this morning. And I hope everybody get the message and learn as well. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I better get to the closing part quick before more calling. You'll have a chance to call tonight. All right, people? Have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless. I'll see you tonight.
Wonderful.
So the territory broke and they say that we say that we set up jamming. So to foreign countries really start migrating. They do faith in the country, they say we burn down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many men seem to feel that I talking nonsense, but the majority of we decide we're not going to run. Because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing is that is our. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try. Just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter.